Get in there. Ah! Ripped in half. It's stressing me out. Full body sob. I regret reading it. We have to have a meeting. We have to talk about books, you guys. I've always been a reader. Something has happened recently where I am back and better than ever in my reading era. To the point that I was reading last night and my Kindle died, immediately picked up Noah's to continue the book I was reading. My last video when I told you I was having insomnia, it's now my fault. I stayed up till 3 a.m. 2 nights in a row. We're gonna go with physical copies first, and then we're gonna go to the Kindle. Okay, I've had some really good Kindle Unlimited reads. Some really good Kindle Unlimited reads. First book I read was Rouge by Mona Awad. I love Mona Awad. I have 2 of her other books, Bunny and All's Well. Now, All's Well for me was like a 2-star. Bunny was a 5-star. Mona Awad's books are, I think it's considered literary fiction. I love it. I eat it up. You know that TikTok sound. Each of her books I have noticed has a bit of like a theme to it. Bunny has a lot of themes from Alice in Wonderland. Because I like Alice in Wonderland, I was able to understand it pretty easily. All's Well has a lot of Shakespeare and theater, like, is it themes? Is that the term? It just picks up little things from there, like little sayings, things like that. Because I don't know anything about Shakespeare, I had no idea what was going on. If you're someone who knows a lot of theater lingo and Shakespeare lingo, you would probably like it. Now, this is about a girl whose mom recently died and she goes to like clean out her mom's house and do like all the funeral stuff, and then she finds out her mom was a part of this skincare club that she decides to join, and it's a lot about like grief and a refusal, or like society's refusal to let women age. It does not as twisty as Bunny in my opinion, but I would still give it a 4.5 stars. I would still definitely recommend this. Then I read the first book in the Part of Your World series by Abby Jimenez. The next one is Yours Truly, and then Just for the Summer. I really wanted to read Yours Truly because I know it's really popular, but everyone and their mother says that I have to read this one first, so I did. Now, this book is very Heart of Dixie-esque. It's about a rich doctor woman who finds herself in a small town, and there's obviously a love interest, and they live, you know, completely different worlds and just trying to figure out whether or not they can make it work. I liked this. Her writing, excellent. The banter, excellent. I just felt like the conflict in this was wrapped up really quickly. Like every time there was conflict, it was like within 2 sentences, it was fixed. Because I grew up in a small town and now I live in the city, that sometimes when there's those like tropes of like the city women friends that are like all like self-centered and things like that, kind of give me the ick sometimes. However, I still was kicking my feet and giggling the whole way through this book, and I'm still really glad I read it. And apparently the other 2 books just keep getting, the next 2 in the series just keep getting better and better. So I am gonna give this a 4-star. Now we have My Heart and Soul, the Once Upon a Broken Heart trilogy. I have the first 2 books in physical copies. I've decided I don't want to buy hardcover books anymore. Seeing this one on my shelf with all the rest of my paperbacks is it's stressing me out. Now, the Once Upon a Broken Heart trilogy takes place in the same world as Caraval, also by the same author, Stephanie Garber. I loved Caraval. I see some people say that they thought this was better, they didn't like Caraval. It's been so long since I've read Caraval that I don't remember which one I like better. All I know is that was one of my favorite series. It is YA fantasy, by the way, so it's very easy to read fantasy. There's like really no spice at all. It's a very slow burn, enemies to lovers. It's all about Evangeline Fox, who like strikes a deal with the Prince of Hearts, which is Jax, who is also in Caraval. There's lots of magic, lots of fairy tales. Now the first one, I'm gonna go ahead and give a 5-star. I read this really quickly. The second one, even bigger of a 5-star. I could not put this down. I was rushing to get through every single page. I almost wish I had read it slower because I loved it so much. I did the first thing I've ever done, which is purchase a book on my Kindle. Now, I really only use my Kindle for Kindle Unlimited books or library books, which I do read a lot of Kindle Unlimited and library books. If I'm gonna pay for a book, I would rather have a physical copy. I couldn't wait. When I finished the second one, I had to have the third one immediately. So then I bought the third one, A Curse for True Love. I was a bit disappointed. And I hate to say that because I love Stephanie Garber and I'm still so glad I read it. And I still think it's such an amazing trilogy that I would recommend to anyone to read, especially if you want to get into fantasy. I just think the third one, kind of like Part of Your World, the conflict was wrapped up too quickly. There's so many unanswered questions. There's so many characters that were brought into the book that there was like no explanation on what happened to them. There was a lot of unanswered storylines. Some people said this was on purpose. I don't like that. I want to know how it ends. I don't want to be left guessing. It could have honestly been like, I don't think the book was bad. I think it needed more. She could have added like 200 more pages and I would have been so happy with that to get all of my questions answered and have spent a little bit more time with the main characters. There was a lot of side character development. Is she planning on writing more books in this world with more characters? Because that would make me so happy. I would still obviously read them. And again, I still love this series. One of my favorite trilogies I read in a very long time. Definitely got me back in my fantasy era. I just think the third book could have been a little better. It could have been longer. It just, or you can be mad at me because I see a lot of people, if you say this on TikTok, people are getting really mad and being like, she did this on purpose, yada yada. I needed a little more, okay? But I'm still gonna give it a 4-star because I still really enjoyed it and I still read it really fast. All right, now let's go to the books I've been reading on Kindle Unlimited. Okay, I did read Local Woman Missing, which is a really popular thriller. I did not like it. The first 3/4 of the book, I was hooked. I was like, oh, I see why this is such a good thriller. It's very fast paced. It is about a woman and her daughter that go missing, and then the daughter turns back up 11 years later and they're trying to figure out like what happened and piecing it all together and where she's been this whole time. The ending was so far-fetched that I regret reading it. Like, I love when it's something unpredictable, but it has to be good. It has to be well done. It can't be something that makes zero sense. It was too much for me. So yeah, Local Woman Missing, I think I'm gonna give it a 2. Next, okay, the book I just finished and then what I'm currently reading. I'm so excited, you guys have to read this. The Serpent and the Wings of Night. This is about a girl named Oriah who is human, but she was basically like adopted by a vampire father and now lives in the world of vampires. There's a tournament, very like Hunger Games-esque, every 100, 200 years, where people can fight and the person that wins gets a wish from their like god. And obviously she's going to be entering this, and when she enters, there's a guy named Rain who is like, becomes her ally, but also only one person can win. So it's like, you know, it is so good. I have never full body sobbed. I was heaving, I was crying. There were times when there was a spice scene. It was such a slow burn for the spice scene that by the time it got here, I was like, yes, actually I am ready for this. And I'm not a spicy kind of girl. Now, I'm not like an anti-spice girl. I'm not someone who seeks out a book for spice, you know? And if a book is too much, it sometimes can give me the ick. I was ready, I'm not gonna lie. I was like, we have had so much slow burn tension. Get in there and do what I need you to do at this point, because the tension was, oh, you will be ripped in half. Ripped in half. I read this so fast. I don't know how. That's the problem with Kindle Unlimited, because this book, I think it's like 600 pages, but I don't know that because it's this big to me. When a book is on Kindle Unlimited, it's this big. Like the first night I looked up, it was 3:45 in the morning and I was like, oh no, I can't do this again. I did it the next night. If you wanna get into adult fantasy, there is a spice scene. It's like towards the end, there's only one. It's so good. So what I'm currently reading is the second book in this, which is The Ashes and the Star-Cursed King. Now, I have been told that this one is a lot spicier. I don't know yet because I'm only 5% of the way through. I realized I have done nothing but read this week, so I had to take a break. But I'm gonna get back to it today. So that's everything I've been reading. I do wanna show you also, I did go to Strand Bookstore. I'm trying to be a little bit more intentional with where I buy my books, because I know you're not supposed to buy books on Amazon, but I do buy a lot of my books on eBay, and I think that's an amazing way to buy books. You can get books for like $3 on eBay. I'm talking about like, I'm pretty sure both of these came from eBay and they're like $3 to $4. Apparently there's a lot of bookstores, like small local business, small bookstores in New York City that are not doing well. And Strand is a very popular bookstore. They also sell used books. So I realized I'm gonna try and shop there a little bit more too, because I do wanna support local businesses. And they do have a used section. Now, they didn't have any of these used, so I did buy them all brand new. First, we have the Abby Jimenez Just for the Summer. Now, this is the third book in this series, so I will have to read the second one first. The second one is on Kindle Unlimited. Next, I got The 7-Year Slip, which apparently is about a woman who falls in love with a guy who exists in the past, 7 years ago. And then the final book is another literary fiction book, and this is My Year of Rest and Relaxation. I have been trying to get this from my local library for as long as I can remember. It says, the shocking and strangely tender story of a young woman's efforts to duck the ills of the world with the help of one of the worst psychiatrists. A lot of my friends who are not into fantasy, who who read more books like this said that this was really good. I do want to say, if you're like not into fantasy or you're not into some sort of genre, I think it's so fun to read all different genres of books. I think it helps you like enjoy it more. If I read fantasy after fantasy, they all start to kind of mesh together and feel the same. Same for rom-coms, like they start to all be like pretty typical. I think when you mix things in, you will find reading to be so much more fun. It's time to make Noah a cake for his birthday. Yes, okay, I bought a store-bought. I actually have everything I need to make a homemade cake. If I was doing this, so I'm in my new to baking era. I'm not a bad baker, I'm not a perfect baker. I'm not playing it around on his birthday. And also, he's not a big cake eater, so he's picky. He's not a sweets person. So we're doing devil's food cake and dark chocolate icing. Oh, I'm a little tired. It's only 2 o'clock. This is what staying up all night to read about vampires does to you. But it's fine, it's fine. We gotta trek through. I have therapy in an hour and 45 minutes. Before, I really wanna do a little scripting. Apparently since today is August 8th, 2024, which also like in numerology, 2024 would be an 8. So it's kind of 888. And who knows, they say it's like the luckiest day every year and this is supposed to be an extra lucky one. So I thought I would do a little bit of scripting. I used to be like the biggest scripter, vision board maker, and I just haven't done those things in quite a while. And I think this is my sign to get back into it. What I'm gonna do is write a letter to my future self. I saw a few people do this on Instagram and TikTok, where I'm gonna write a letter to myself in August 8th of 2025, letting myself know all the things that have happened and how great my life has been in the last year. It looks delicious.